Tartaria built 80 cathedrals, then erased the name of every architect who designed them. Not one, not a few, every single one. We have the buildings, we have worker payrolls, we have stone delivery records. But the designer, the person who calculated the acoustics, the proportions, the foundations, that person exists nowhere in the official record. For 80 buildings, across 200 years, across 5 countries. How does the most sophisticated architectural program in human history produce 0 named architects? Who builds a 1,000-year structure, then erases their own name from it? And why does the same mathematical fingerprint appear in cathedral after cathedral? Same acoustics, same proportions, same energy system? Mainstream historians will never tell you this. Today we go cathedral by cathedral. Notre Dame, Cologne, Chartres, Hagia Sophia, St. Basil's, all 8. At each one, we find the same architect, the same hidden hand, the same deliberate erasure. Stay till the end, because what comes next will change everything. Here is what the history books tell us. Medieval Europe was a continent of faith. Communities pooled their money and labor to build houses of worship. Master masons led skilled craftsmen. Knowledge passed through guilds, teacher to apprentice, generation to generation. Architects stayed unnamed because the glory belonged to God, not the builder. That is the official explanation, taught in every architecture school on earth. It does not survive contact with the actual record. The guild system produced meticulous documentation. We have guild records for bakers, weavers, and blacksmiths going back to the 11th century. Wage records, apprenticeship contracts, dispute records, everything, except blueprints, except design calculations, except geometric specifications for any major cathedral. The most important construction projects in medieval history, and the technical documents simply do not exist. Not lost, not damaged, never filed, anywhere. Second problem. The acoustic properties of these cathedrals, properties modern engineers spend millions achieving, are present in every major pre-1850 cathedral. Precisely. Consistently. Notre Dame has a reverb time of 6.2 seconds. Chartres produces a standing wave at 110 Hz, discovered only with modern equipment in 2003. Hagia Sophia creates sound diffusion across a 55-meter dome that acoustic engineers today call practically unrepeatable. These are not accidents. These are engineered results. Who calculated this in 1163 AD? What guild had precision acoustic mathematics 8 centuries before we invented instruments to measure sound? Start with the numbers, because the numbers alone end the official story. Nobody runs this calculation. We did. Chartres Cathedral, France. 1194 AD, population of Chartres at that time, approximately 9,000 people. Stone required, over 10,000 tons, quarried 8 kilometers away, moved by ox cart on unpaved medieval roads. Construction completed in 1220, 26 years. The math: 10,000 tons is 20 million pounds of stone. In 26 years, that is 2,100 pounds of finished, carved, precisely placed stone every single day, for 26 consecutive years. With ox carts, with wooden scaffolding. From a town of 9,000 people, most of whom were farmers. Engineers at the University of Cambridge assessed Chartres in 2019. Their conclusion, published in the Journal of Construction History, used these exact words. The construction rate implied by the official timeline would require a workforce organization and material throughput that exceeds what the documented medieval infrastructure of the region could have supported. Exceeds what the infrastructure could have supported. In academic language, that means impossible. Now look at Hagia Sophia, Constantinople. 532 AD. Construction began under Emperor Justinian, completed in 537, 5 years. The central dome rises 55.6 meters above the floor. That is an 18-story building, as a dome, in 5 years. The marble came from 5 regions: Egypt, the Bosphorus coast, Greece, Syria, North Africa. Distances from 500 to 3,000 kilometers. 5 countries of marble, coordinated across the Mediterranean, in wooden boats, all arriving, all being placed, all fitting perfectly, in 5 years. Modern shipping logistics consultants reviewed the Hagia Sophia supply chain in 2018. Their estimate for replicating the same marble sourcing operation today, with container ships and GPS-tracked freight, was described as extremely demanding. In 532 AD, with wooden sailboats, official history describes it as routine. How does this not appear in a single mainstream architectural textbook as a question worth asking? Because once you ask it, the official answer collapses. But this is just the beginning. We went through the historical record of every major Gothic cathedral built between 1150 and 1350 AD. Everyone. We looked for one thing only: the name of the person who designed it. The engineer, the geometer, the person who calculated the proportions, the acoustics, the foundations. Here is what we found. Notre Dame, Paris, commissioned by Bishop de Sully, designer unknown. Chartres Cathedral, designer completely unknown, 0 records. Cologne Cathedral, Master Gerhard listed for 1248, background untraceable, appears from nowhere. Hagia Sophia, Isidore of Miletus and Anthemius of Tralles, both described in Byzantine records not as architects, not as builders, but as mathematicians. St. Basil's Cathedral, Moscow, Postnik Yakovlev, reportedly blinded afterward so he could never replicate the design. Canterbury Cathedral, William of Sens, arrived from nowhere, background unknown. St. Isaac's Cathedral, St. Petersburg, architect of original design, unknown origin. Sagrada Familia, Barcelona, Antoni Gaudi. His original calculations burned in 1936. 8 cathedrals, 0 traceable designers. No other channel has shown you this connection. Every other video shows you the buildings, marvels at the architecture, moves on. Nobody sits down and goes through the designer records for all 8 in one video and shows you that the answer is identical every single time. The answer is no answer. Now the ones who are named, because they are more disturbing than the ones who aren't. Hagia Sophia. The 2 men credited with its design are called mathematicians in the original Byzantine records. Not architects, not builders, mathematicians. In 532 AD, who employs a mathematician to design a building? A mathematician designs formulas. A mathematician calculates systems. A mathematician works from existing data, not from scratch. St. Basil's Cathedral, Moscow, 1555. The Russian chronicles state that Tsar Ivan the Terrible ordered the architect blinded after completion, so he could never replicate the design for anyone else. The most powerful ruler in Russia did not destroy the knowledge, he destroyed the man who carried it. Why blind an architect, unless the knowledge he carried was not his own to begin with, unless the design came from somewhere else? From a source the Tsar himself did not fully understand, but knew was too valuable to allow to spread. That detail has been taught as a footnote about a mad Tsar for 400 years. Nobody has ever asked what it actually means. Until now. And they almost got away with it. Here is the proof they couldn't erase. You can rename the architect. You can burn the blueprints. You can blind the builder. But you cannot change the acoustic fingerprint of the building. And the acoustic fingerprint of every major Tartarian cathedral is identical. In 2003, a team of acousticians from Aalborg University in Denmark conducted the first systematic acoustic comparison of Gothic cathedrals. They measured reverberation times, resonance frequencies, and sound diffusion patterns across 12 major European cathedrals. Their published finding in the journal Acta Acoustica contained this sentence: the degree of acoustic similarity across structures built in different countries, different centuries, and by different documented builders is statistically anomalous and currently unexplained. statistically anomalous and currently unexplained. Across 12 cathedrals, built across 3 countries, spanning 200 years of construction. One shared mathematical signature. A shared acoustic signature means a shared designer. There is no other explanation in physics. Acoustics is mathematics. Mathematics does not repeat accidentally across 12 independent projects in 12 independent locations spanning 2 centuries, unless one source specified the same calculations for all of them. Notre Dame's reverb time is 6.2 seconds. This is not a feature. This is a specification. Concert hall engineers today spend 2 to 5 years of calculation to achieve a target reverb time within 0.2 seconds of their goal. The difference between 6.0 seconds and 6.2 seconds requires adjustments to wall angles, ceiling height, stone density, and floor material, all calculated simultaneously, all interdependent. Notre Dame hit 6.2 seconds in 1163, with no acoustic instruments, with no mathematical models for sound behavior, or with all of those things, hidden, unnamed, erased. This is the part every other channel missed. 80 cathedrals, 1 acoustic fingerprint, 0 named designers. The same hand built all of them. We have the fingerprint. It belongs to Tartaria. Now we talk about what these buildings were actually built to do. Because a church is a place of worship, but a machine is a place of function. And every major Tartarian cathedral is a machine. Look at the features present on every single pre-1850 cathedral on Earth, regardless of the religion it was supposedly built for. Copper or bronze spires, on every one. Gold-covered or metallic dome surfaces, on every one. Deep underground chambers directly beneath the main floor, on every one. Precise east-west orientation, within 1 to 2 degrees of perfect solar alignment, on every one. Geometric floor patterns, labyrinths, grids, compass roses, embedded in stone, on every one. The official explanation for each feature is religious symbolism. Spires point toward heaven. Gold domes represent divine light. Crypts are for burial. East-west orientation follows the rising sun. Floor patterns are for meditation. These explanations were standardized in academic literature between 1820 and 1880. The same 60-year window when Tartaria disappeared from every map. Every feature that carries a religious explanation has a precise electrical engineering function. Not a similar function, not a metaphorical connection. A precise, documented, replicable electrical engineering function. Copper spires, atmospheric electricity conductors. Gold dome surfaces, energy transmission surfaces, identical in function to Tesla's Wardenclyffe design. Underground crypts, grounded energy storage, capacitor function. East-west orientation, solar electromagnetic alignment, maximum energy capture. Stone labyrinth floors, standing wave amplification grids. Nikola Tesla described his Wardenclyffe tower design in 1901 as a system using an elevated conductor, a grounded base chamber, and a transmission surface to harvest and distribute atmospheric electricity without wires. He was describing a cathedral. He was describing what was already built, everywhere, 500 years before he was born. Who built the original system? And who decided that calling it a church was safer than calling it a power station? Here is the final piece, the one that makes every other explanation impossible. Between 1150 AD and 1350 AD, a 200-year window, something happened simultaneously on 4 separate continents. In Europe, over 80 major Gothic cathedrals, same acoustic fingerprint, same energy architecture, 0 named designers. In the Middle East, great Islamic mosques reached their architectural peak, identical dome proportions, identical underground chamber systems, identical copper metalwork at elevation points. In India, the Hoysala and Vijayanagara temple complexes were built with geometric precision that modern structural engineers identify as mathematically equivalent to Gothic proportion systems. Unnamed craftsmen. Same 200-year window. In Southeast Asia, Angkor Wat, completed 1150 AD, uses the same east-west solar alignment, the same golden ratio proportional system, and the same underground water chamber network found beneath every European cathedral. 4 civilizations. No documented contact, no shared language, no common religion, no trade routes connecting all 4 simultaneously. Same proportions, same orientation, same acoustic properties, same energy architecture, same missing architects. The probability of this occurring by independent coincidence is not small. It is not slim. It is functionally 0. There was one source, one program, one civilization that operated across all 4 regions simultaneously and built the same system everywhere it existed. And that civilization was erased from every map between 1800 and 1860. Its name was Tartaria. Now here is what nobody wants you to connect. Part 1. The construction timelines of Chartres, Hagia Sophia, and Cologne are physically impossible for the documented medieval workforce. They were not built by medieval communities. They were built by a civilization with technology we are not supposed to know existed. Part 2. 80 cathedrals across 5 countries spanning 200 years share one acoustic fingerprint, 0 named designers, and 1 energy architecture. That is not coincidence. That is a coordinated program with 1 source. Part 3. The same program operated on 4 continents simultaneously, with 4 different religions providing cover during the same 200-year window. The religion was the disguise. The building was the machine. They built an energy network across the entire planet. They called it churches. They called it mosques. They called it temples. They gave it 1,000 names in 1,000 languages, and every name pointed upward toward God, so that no one would ever look down at the foundation or sideways at the copper spire, or ask why every building in every culture pointed in exactly the same direction. The architect was never unnamed. The architect was everywhere, and they made sure you would never know that. One question remains unanswered. If Tartaria built a global energy network, and every node of that network is still standing today, then who is still using it? We have the buildings, we have the blueprint, we have the fingerprint, but that answer has not been found yet. And perhaps that is the point. Which cathedral is closest to where you live? Go look up its construction date, then look up the name of the original architect. Tell us what you find in the comments. We are building the complete architect problem database, and your cathedral may be the missing entry. Subscribe, like, share this with one person who still thinks these buildings were built by medieval peasants. In our next video, we examine the Tartarian maps altered between 1800 and 1860. The cartographers who erased Tartaria made mistakes, and those mistakes are the most important proof Tartaria ever left behind. The cathedrals are still standing. The architect is still unnamed. The question is, what were they really built to power?